Hi, Tom English again, following up on the trig problems. Last video I introduced you to the three trig functions, the sine, cosine, and tangent. And now let's solve some parts of the triangle by using those. I've got three problems written up here. The first one says that the angle is 40 degrees, that's angle A. It gives us the length of A, the side opposite, and then it's asking you to solve for the other two parts, the hypotenuse and side B. Well, let's set up with what we know. And the sine of 40 degrees, we know is equal to the opposite, which is A, 5.2, over the hypotenuse, which is C. So to solve for C, we need to first what? Get C by itself. And so therefore, if we cross multiply, we'd have C times the sine of 40 is equal to 5.2. Get C by itself, we divide by the sine of 40. So we now have C is equal to 5.2 over the sine. Well, how do we get the sine of 40 degrees? Okay, we go into our calculator, we punch in the sine, and then 40, and it comes back and tells us that the answer is 0.643. So now we have 5.2 divided by 0.643. 5.2 divided by 0.643, and it tells us that the answer is 8.087. Okay, you might just round that off to 8, but that's how we find one of the sides. What's the other one we want to find? Well, we want to find B. We have A was given to us and we have C. We could use the Pythagorean theorem, couldn't we? But why don't we go ahead and set the same one up again, but instead of sine, now what are we going to use? We're looking for, instead of the side or the hypotenuse, we're looking for the side adjacent, aren't we? So if we use tangent, the tangent of 40 degrees is now equal to what? The opposite, which is 5.2, over the adjacent side, which is B. We go through that same thing and we know that we end up with B is equal to 5.2 divided by the tangent of 40. What is the tangent of 40? Well, it's, again, tangent 40 equals 0.839. So if this is 0.839, we now have to divide 5.2 divided by 0.839, and it says our answer is 6.198. So in this case, B is equal to 6.198. Okay? Rather than do the second one, let's jump to the third one, because that's a little different in that it gives us A and B, but it's asking us to find the angle. Okay? The fact that it's A and B, what trig function uses the opposite and the adjacent? That's the tangent, isn't it? So the way we'd set this up is to say the tangent, okay, of angle B is equal to the opposite, which is A, 4.5, over the adjacent, which is 6.2. Okay? First thing we want to do is solve that fraction. So we divide 4.5 by 6.2, and we get a decimal of 0.726. Now how do we find the angle? Okay, this is a little different, but what we're looking for is the inverse of the tangent. And the way you get the inverse, at least on most calculators, you first hit the shift key. It says you want to use the alternate key. And then when you hit tangent, it should come up with a tangent minus 1. Let me try that again. Shift, tangent minus 1, and then we put in 0.726. Hit the equal sign, and it comes back and says that angle B is 35.98 degrees. Okay, do you see how we solve for the angle there? Again, we set it up based on the trig formula, the trig ratio. We get them up with a decimal value, and then we put in the inverse of the tangent. And again, that's shift, tangent. It'll come up with the symbol it'll show you on the calculator, at least on most calculators, is a tangent, and then it'll show a -1. So you're finding the inverse. And this is where I'm putting in the value of the tangent, and I want them to tell me what the angle is. And in this case, it's 35.98, probably rounded off 36 degrees. Okay, that's a couple of them. I think I have a couple more on the website. But hopefully you can see that don't let trig scare you. It's definitely algebra, and you just got to figure out which function you need to use depending on what is known and what is unknown. And then with your handy calculator, a lot easier than the slide rules back in my days. Thank you much.